better than it was. Before we get started on the lesson, questions on the homework? So, with this here, what we're wanting to do is we're given the equation to start with, and we're finding the information. So we're going to want to find the vertex, focus, directrix, and axis of symmetry. We're wanting to find all that there. Now with this here, it is a little bit nicer than going to the equation because it tells us y equals 1/8 times x minus 3 squared plus 2. Thank you. So we can directly line this up with y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. So that's kind of nice. That does line up that way there. And we're going to need to find the vertex, which is going to be a given point. We're going to find the focus, which again is a point. Our directrix, since we have y equals, our directrix is going to be y equals, and I'll fill in the general information in a minute, and our axis of symmetry. Now the general form, our vertex is the point h comma k. Our focus is going to be h comma k plus p. Our directrix is y is equal to k minus p, and axis of symmetry, x is equal to h. Now across all this here, with any of these, we need the values of h, k, and p. K is 2. Now they tell us that a is 1/8. So 1/4 times 1/8, yes. So P is equal to 1/4A. So that's the last thing we really need. So here P is equal to 1/4 times 1/8. Huh? So P is 1/4A. So we just take that value, do 1/4 times A. So 1/4 times 1/8, 2. So P is 2, H is 3, K is 2. Questions on how we found these here? Okay. Before we do any calculations or any calculations with the rest of this here, let's look through what we have. Vertex, H comma K. Well, H is 3, 2, 3 comma 2. Focus, well, we have H comma K plus P. We'll do K plus P in a minute. Directrix, K minus P. We'll do that in a minute. Axis symmetry, X is equal to 3. So we've done almost all this here. The last things we need to do are and find is K plus P and K minus P.
So it would be 2 plus 2.
4. And the other one's 2 minus 2, which is,
So this is really,
yeah. And the thing that made this very easy is the 1/4A.
so is that how like all of them?
Yeah. Because in years past, the way that we've had to do this is actually calculate this out. Because when we first started this out, what went in the 1/8 pot was 1/4P. Because that's what we had. So to find it, we would just set 1/8 equal to 1/4P, and we would have to calculate that out. But it ends up working out that this here, P ends up being 1/4 times 1/8. It just works out that way. So having this, the fact that P is equal to 1 over 4A, makes everything a lot nicer, a lot easier to work with. AH and K is -1/4. H is -2 and K is 1. Since we have +2 inside, that H value is going to be negative.
How's it negative?
So since it's the reason it's -2 is since we have X plus 2 inside, in the general form we have X minus H. So the only way we can change it from X minus H to X plus 2 is if the value of H is negative. Because really what this is saying is X minus -2. Because to get that X and the minus to match up, that 2 has to be negative. Yeah. Inside those parentheses, the number inside those parentheses, if it's positive, it comes out negative. If the number looks negative inside the parentheses, it comes out positive. That's because that minus H, minus K, that's the issue we have. Because in the general form, it's minus that value. Well, the only way I can have minus a value is if the value inside is negative for it to switch to positive. Like on the last one, we had X minus 3. The X's line up, the minus line up, so H has to be 3. Does that make sense? Here, we do kind of have that somewhat of it lining up. X's line up, H is 2, but this has switched from negative to positive. The only way that can work is if H is negative. All right. Vertex is H comma K. Well, the value of H is, and K is 1. Focus. So again, I would just refer back to the focus in the general form, H comma K plus P. Well, H is -2. Do we know what P is yet? Yes, because we still need to calculate P, which is 1 over 4 times A. And we'll do that here in a second. So we don't have that quite yet. Directrix. Well, Y equals K minus P. So we still need to find P to be able to calculate this, but we do get half the equation. Axis of symmetry. X is equal to -2, H. One, two, three, four, five, six. So on the test, I'd say this is worth 9 points. 1 for doing it, 1 for the X, Y value, so 2 parts of the vertex, because we have -2, 1. Focus has 2 points, -2, and the value we haven't found yet. Directrix, I still give it 2 points. 1, because we have to have Y equals, and our number. We got half of that there. X symmetry, X equals number. So even out of the 9 points, we're looking at 7 just from this here. Because the only 2 points we would lose is the other value of the focus and what Y equals. But not too hard to find, because the first thing we need to find is P. 1 over 4 times -1/4, which is -1. Yes. So.
Okay. May I have your attention, please? Any student who is involved in a homecoming court needs to meet in the old gym at this time. Thank you.
So, focus. 1 plus -1 is 0. Now our negative, or 1 minus negative 1 would be 2. So directrix would be y equals 2. Yep. Questions on this here? Are you good with this here so far? Let's look at the next one.
Are these all the same?
Essentially. So A in this case is what? H is yes. So again, these here, especially going from one to the other, it's still sometimes good just write the general form so we're matching it up. Because again, it is very easy to want to say 3 is H, 1 is K, because we're used to it that way. But because X equals K is now inside, H is now outside. Let's go on and find P. P is equal to 1 over 4A. I believe that's 4. All right. Vertex is the point H comma K. So that'd be 1, 3. Focus. This time it's H plus P comma K. So our K value is still 3. H plus P would be 1 plus 4, which is 5. So the focus is 5, 3. Do the directrix. X equals K minus P. So it'd be 1 minus 4, which is -3. And lastly, axis of symmetry. Y is equal to K. And that shouldn't have been a K. That should be an H. But it ended up being the same thing. I just put the wrong letter. Questions? I think we like this a little better than just finding the equation. It's a little bit easier. Because really, if you notice, all of this with 2, 3 is just revolving around finding A, H, K, and P. A and P are kind of interchangeable. But once we find those, we're plugging them into their corresponding spots and simplifying where needed. Questions on this here? Let's look at one more because I feel like we're getting the hang of this, yes? Let's look at 45 because it's another one with X. AHK. If you want to list it AKH, that's fine too, since H and K did flip again. What's our value of A? H. 2. K is -4. We can go on and find P. Because P is equal to 1 over 4A. Yeah. For sure. We good? Okay. So we're going to find P, 1 over 4 times -3. if we plug it into the calculator, we do the calculations, it's negative 1/12. 4 times 3 is 12. It's going to be negative, but negative 12. Doesn't reduce. Vertex, because we have everything we need, is the point h comma k. H is 2, k is negative 4. Focus. Focus, again, for this here is h plus p comma k. So that second value is still going to be negative 4. To get the first value, well, we have to take our h value, 2, and add negative 1/12 to it. Negative 23/12. Yes. Yep. So 23/12. Now the directrix x equals. In the general form it is h minus p. So we're looking at 2 minus negative 1/12. And we can type it in as 2 minus negative 1/12, or we can type it in as what? 2 plus 1/12. As a mixed number, it'd be 2 1/12. Or as an improper fraction, it is 25 over 12. So x is equal to 25 over 12. Axis of symmetry is y is equal to k. Questions on this here? Yep. 7, 5. Yep. 23/12. Yep. Yep. Questions on any of this here? That's it. Yes.